Today I'm going to show you the fastest way to cook. I'm going to be taking the components that you find within a computer to transfer heat, like fins and heat pipes, and see if I can actually use these to cook food faster. This is a heat pipe. It transfers heat extremely quickly. For example, here I have a regular copper rod and a heat pipe of the same size. Watch how much faster the heat pipe transfers heat compared to the copper rod, which is already a good conductor of heat. You can transfer heat from your hand to an ice cube so fast that it just slices through it like butter. The reason I can do this is because the inside is hollow and filled with, in this case, water vapor at low pressure. On the colder side of the heat pipe, the vapor condenses and releases heat. Then an internal wick texture pulls the liquid back to the hot side, where it evaporates again from the heat. So instead of relying just on passive conductive heat transfer, it uses phase changes, making it extremely fast and efficient at moving heat. That's why heat pipes are used everywhere, especially in computers, to transfer heat away from the CPU and other hotspots. But this got me thinking, what if we could use this high efficiency heat transfer for cooking? The idea for this is that if I pass a bunch of heat pipes through a steak, I can transfer heat directly from the hot grill air into the center of the steak, so the heat doesn't have to slowly diffuse through the meat. So I have two steaks here that are about the same thickness and size. One of them I'm going to put heat pipes through, and the other one I'm just going to cook normally. Okay, look at that. We've got our porcupine heat pipe steak. Let's see if this actually makes a difference in how fast it cooks. So the bottom temperature is our heat pipe steak and the top one is the regular steak. You can already see that just from the room temperature, it's heated up the steak by 5 degrees more than the regular one. Okay, let's put the steaks on. And I'll do a time lapse of the temperature change of both of them. At about 5 minutes, I'm gonna flip them over. So we're gonna call it done when it hits 140 degrees internal temperature. The heat pipe is popping up there really fast. Now it's really rising. Okay, we're 5 minutes in. Let's flip them both over now. And back to the races. The heat pipe is clearly ahead of the control steak. It's about to hit 140 at 9.5 minutes. So after 140, I take the steak off, but you can see the internal temperature continues to rise. And then the control steak finally hits 140 degrees at around 14 minutes. I realize now though that when I took out the heat pipe steak, I let in some cold air, so that probably slowed down the other steak a little bit. Okay, so in the end, the heat pipe steak cooked about 4 minutes faster than the regular one. That's 32% faster. Let's see how it tastes. Tastes a little bit coppery, but still a good steak. So you can see it's a little more done around the edges of the heat pipe, but not a lot. So it did cook around 30% faster, but I honestly thought it would do a little bit better than this. I think the main reason it didn't perform better is because the grill air is mostly outside the effective working range of the heat pipes. So at this point, the heat pipes have essentially become fins, metal appendages on the outside of the steak transferring heat to the inside, which actually is still pretty efficient. In fact, if you maximize the number of fins, you could still get great heat transfer even without using heat pipes. For example, I've always hated cooking on a gas stove and feeling how much heat is actually wasted as it spills up the sides of the pan. This is ridiculous. Look how much heat is lost. Look at the fire just going up and around the pan. Gas stoves actually waste over 70% of their heat. That's ridiculous. So is there a way to capture more of that wasted heat? Well, yes, you just need more surface area in contact with the hot combustion gases. The way to do that is by adding fins. Fins are used everywhere we want to passively transfer heat efficiently. So I've always wondered, why don't we use fins on cooking pans? Well, a few months ago, 2 engineers from the Netherlands reached out to me about a product they were developing. They made a pan with fins on the bottom to transfer heat faster. They sent me one to try out. So this is the Effium pan. Look at the bottom of it. You can see how there's these fins all over it. It looks really weird. And honestly, when I got it, I didn't have very high expectations for it. I knew in theory it should work better than a normal pan, but I thought it would be like our heat pipe experiment. A little better, but not much. But you have to see how well this pan actually works. Let's start off by boiling some water. I've got a regular pan and the Effium fin pan. Okay, I'm gonna put 2 cups of water in each pan. Let's see how long it takes to boil in each of these. Okay, these are the exact same burner size. I'm just gonna put them both on high. Okay, just over a minute. We're already starting to get some boiling on the bottom there. Okay, there we go, less than 2 minutes and we already got the water boiling here. That is a crazy difference. Okay, we'll call this a boil, even though it's barely starting, around 356. Even when they're both boiling, look at the difference. Look how much this is boiling versus this one. So the Effium pan boiled 237% faster than the regular pan. What's interesting is that the fins make it heat up extremely quickly, almost like a very thin pan. But the pan is actually thick, so you get fast heating, but even cooking, and no hot spots all in one. So Effium actually offered to sponsor this video when I talk about their pan, but they told me I could be completely honest in my feedback. And this is my honest opinion. This pan is amazing. This pan has really become my wife's and my favorite pan to cook with, because it heats up so quickly, but the heating is even. Look when you look on the thermal imaging camera at the regular pan versus the Effium pan. Look how much more heat is wasted with the regular pan. And actually Michelin star chefs have started using it as well. These guys are actually really smart and innovative, and I'm glad they reached out to me and let me use their pan. I strongly recommend supporting their company. They've built something that's genuinely cool that helps reduce wasted energy and resources. So if you want to try out the Effium pan, right now you can get $10 off your order at effium.com by using the discount code TheActionLab at checkout. They ship worldwide, so anyone can get their hands on this pan, and it's a very fair price for the quality actually. So overall, using heat transfer technology that we find in computers actually works quite well for cooking as well. And thanks for watching another episode of The Action Lab, and we'll see you next time.